different agencies.
Sorry.
Oops, okay. For donors and but some participants, so we know some participants you mentioned, and thank you for being honest with that, don't have any experience with proposal writing. So it's very good to know, because then it's for us it's important to know where you are at, and so we can really explain well what makes for a good proposal and successful. So in terms of fundraising experience, almost all participants have no experience with fundraising. So it means, like most of you said, that you've never done this fundraising effort, like reaching out to donors, trying to really get the money where it is. So for the few who have that, you were part of negotiation with embassies of the embassies. So I've noted the Embassy of Switzerland, Sweden, European Union, ITO, and Jeff for small project. In terms of conference participation, so most of you have attended international conferences, and so the list is quite long and quite comprehensive of international conferences you have been part of. So I've tried to note down the ones that you mentioned. So the International Conference on Forestry Training in Cameroon, the International Tropical Timber Council and Association sessions of the committees in Lomé, Tokyo International Conference on African Development, the Semantic Social Forum on Mining and Extractive Economy in Indonesia, Myombo, this conference that took place last month, 2 months ago in April, Myombo International Conference in Washington. I think some of you were there. The Savannah Network meeting in the Kruger Park, CBD. So some of you have attended some CBD COPs, so the COPs on conservation biodiversity. Forest Carbon Partnership Fund Conference in DRC, one mentioned, and a meeting on REDD+ in Ethiopia, and some ITO conferences. Maybe I'm pausing for the translation. In terms of familiarity with donors, most of you are familiar with like bilateral, what we call bilateral cooperation, meaning one country supporting the government of Mozambique. So DANIDA, which is Denmark, JICA, Japan, because we know they have funded the monitoring system for REDD+, and I think for the forest inventory, right? You can confirm, but Italia, Finland, USA, Brazil, China, Egypt. And in terms of multilateral, so those big international organizations, there's FAO. So if we're talking about FAO in terms of UN, then we have World Bank, European Union, ABD, so the African Bank of Development, the Jeff, and the GCF. So quite a lot of, you're already familiar with quite a lot of donors, and the donors that we will be most likely that we will be targeting for the proposals that we will be writing together. So when we ask you what the priority activities in terms of activities in the actual project you would like to tackle for the country, what was mentioned was restoration of the degraded areas with the involvement of communities, training the communities in good practices for sustainable forest management, organization of the communities living in areas where there are some potential forest resources. So you mentioned the non-timber forest product, promoting agroforestry systems, forest restoration projects, climate change mitigation and adaptation. Nobody mentioned REDD+, but I guess this is in the back of the mind. I think we can discuss that on another call. And biodiversity conservation in general. Somebody mentioned something very interesting. I think this is also one of the reasons that we are here, because there are some challenges linked to the new forestry law that was enacted last year. because the new forestry law provides for the creation of an entity that for the administration and management of forestry assets. And it's more autonomous than the current entity. So for that, you need funding and for building institutional capacity. So what we understand is that this new forestry law is giving you more power and more autonomy, but the funding is not following. So you need resources to do what the new forestry law is actually giving you the power to do, or the duty to do. I don't know if we can say that. So in terms of expectations for the actual for this project and the training itself in July, so most of you mentioned the ability to write project proposals and concept notes that are aligned with the forestry sector priorities, and that will get funded. So as Peter said, the objective is not only to write to learn how to write good proposals, but to proposals that will get funded. How to identify the potential donors and the ones that have the funds and will fund you. How to negotiate with donors to obtain those funds. Improve understanding of the project cycle. So it's also very aligned with what we want to do, is really like looking at the whole project cycle, so that the proposal also reflects the whole project cycle, and so that the donor sees that you've been thinking through all the phases of a project. And somebody mentioned also maybe learning more about the cross-cutting themes that donors are expected in a proposal about gender, about climate change, and learn about new trends about funding. Also, as Peter mentioned, this is a very complex and constantly moving landscape. The fundraising, the forest financing landscape is very complex, and so some of so you would like to be up to date with the new trends. And so in terms of level of English, so I made the average, because we ask you to rate to give a number between 1 and 10, and so the average was 6.5, but the range was from 3 to 9. So we have people speaking and having a very good level of English, but some of you, and also thank you again for sharing this, have a limited knowledge of English, so which is very good to know, so that we make sure that you're on board and you're following what we are doing. Thank you. And so maybe if you want to say, if you felt like there was something missing in what I said that was very important, is what you wanted to reflect in the survey, that would be great to hear from you. If I captured well, or if I forgot something, or if I said something that you feel is not reflecting what you about all the participants, feel free to say. We don't have so much time left, but you have maybe 5 minutes to reflect, or 2 minutes.
Okay. Perhaps we should move along, since we only have 9 minutes left here. And maybe people can think about any questions you have.
Can I make a question? It's not a question, it's just a comment. Can I?
Yes, thanks, Hermes. Go for it.
Yeah, there's a new, I've been in a seminar last week, and an interesting question was raised in there, which relates with the amount of financing that goes into direct into on the ground activities, which was claimed to be extremely low. And we have been thinking about the issue, and it was a common trend to agree that this issue can be tackled through looking at the technical assistance in the project concept, in the project inception notes, in the project conception as such. There has to be some way of reducing the technical assistant fund, the external technical assistant, so that we can have a bit more of funds going straight into activity implementation. I'm just bringing this reflection because my expectation also goes up to there. And we would like you at a certain point on this training course to talk about this, to give more insight about this, to give hints on how to increase the level of financing for on the ground activities. Yeah, that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very much why we're here. There is currently a very small amount of funding being made available to Mozambique compared to other countries. So we would like to understand why that is the case. We would like to improve the success rate of securing those funds. And we would like to talk about the whole project life cycle and how we can ensure that those funds reach the ground that are then applied, because that is the ultimate objective. So we're looking at how can we eliminate the barriers that are currently preventing that funding from going towards Mozambique projects. But we're looking forward to getting into that more, and there's a lot more to explore there. So thank you for raising that. Okay, so we have 6 minutes left. We've got quite a bit to go through. I'm going to take over here now. Marie, if you can take down your presentation. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk us through a very brief overview of what we will cover in the 5 days we have together in July. So this is going to be a short period, but we would like to fit a lot of different activities in that period. We will then go over very briefly what we expect to achieve between now and July and establish that meeting. So this will have to be very brief. And again, apologies because of the technical difficulties that we had at the beginning. I'm going to be sharing my screen now. And let's see here. I hope everyone can see that. And I will enter into the full view here. Does that work? Everyone can see that? Marie, can you just indicate? Thank you. Great. Okay. So in July, we will meet for 5 days with a view to improving the capacity for developing proposals. And we will start by doing a round of introductions. Of course, we will have already been introduced by Zoom, but we will do the face-to-face introductions and get to know each other a little bit better. We will provide an overview of what's to come, and we'll set our expectations. And we'd like to hear from you about your expectations about what we can accomplish during this week. We will provide an overview of the life cycle approach to project development, where proposal writing, which we will be doing together, it lives within a broader cycle. And as you can see in the diagram, this has a number of different stages to it. And proposal writing is best understood as being part of this cycle. Of defining what you want to accomplish, discovering and identifying sources of financing, preparing the proposal and submitting it, succeeding in achieving that funding, implementation and managing the project, monitoring and evaluation, and sort of closing out the progress and reporting back to funders. And that ultimately leads to the context in which you apply for the next proposal. So this cycle approach will be the framework within which we look at the proposal writing through the week. On finally, on Monday, we will be looking at how we identify available opportunities and how to prioritize which ones we select and want to go for. On the Tuesday, we will go over in detail proposal design and development. We will provide an overview of the major donors, their current priorities as we see it. We will look at the process of proposal writing for these different donors, the templates that these donors use, and we'll look at case studies of some specific country proposals that we have seen that have been successful. And we will identify positive attributes of those proposals that we can point to as being something that perhaps Mozambique in their proposal writing will want to consider. Who's getting the money right now, really? And we want to know how Mozambique can also be successful. We will turn to a brief exercise at the end of the day where each of you will have the opportunity to try working with some of these skills. So looking at how to apply some of these concepts of proposal design and development. Marie and I will be there to coach you and to work through that exercise. And that will lead into the next day on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we will be providing detailed feedback on that initial exercise. The emphasis here is on quick feedback, frequent feedback, and we have this two-way communication. So very quickly, we will be providing that guidance on how to strengthen writing proposals. We will give an opportunity for you to incorporate that feedback, to do another draft. There's a saying here that the best writing is rewriting. And I'm a big believer in that process of editing and rewriting to strengthen and understand how proposals can be strengthened. We are going to be looking at specific proposal components. We were going to be looking at budgeting, what makes for a strong budget within a proposal. Other aspects include risk evaluation and mitigation, equity, diversity, and inclusion considerations, partnerships, monitoring and evaluation. So these are some of the things that we know that donors are now looking for as positive attributes of an application. Moving along to Thursday. Thursday is going to be a full day where we are going to be doing a series of proposal writing exercises and detailed feedback. Again, this is going to be building off of those skills we learned the day before on some of those specific proposal attributes like budgets and risk mitigation. We will have a number of exercises to do. And this is going to be a really great opportunity for us to hear from you and to provide feedback, as well as hear from each other, from your colleagues. So very much looking forward to that. Finally, on Friday, we will take a reflection of the week, reviewing the lessons and learning objectives that we set out for ourselves at the beginning of the week, making sure nothing is left behind. We will hear reflections from the participants. We will address outstanding questions, and we will have a group discussion of where we are at, what we have achieved. And then we will look forward. We will look forward between July and December. December will be the second workshop, the beginning of December. We will have a number of steps to achieve between now and then. So this will be an opportunity to map out what those months look like, how we will pursue specific proposals and look at a timeline that's associated with that. Look at who might be responsible for delivering on those proposals, And we will talk about how we can support you from afar, from Canada, in that meantime. Even through the time zone difference, we actually think that we can do some exercises together. And in some ways, we can make the time zone difference work for us, where we can be working on and reviewing your proposal while you sleep. And vice versa. So I think that there's going to be some possibility here to work very collaboratively in that time. But at the end of Friday, we will establish what those next steps are. So that's all I have right now for the presentation, and I will stop sharing my screen here. And we are now a little bit over time, but for right now, I did want to return to our agenda. And we wanted to talk about the steps between here and when we arrive in Mozambique. During this time, we're going to be looking at reviewing your existing proposals. So we would like you to send us anything you've written. If there's something that you've already written in terms of a proposal for a funder, we would love to see it. If it was successful, if it was not successful, it's all helpful for us to understand efforts to date. We will be generating a very reasonable amount of reading for you to do, a short but meaningful amount of background reading that will help you prepare to get the most out of the July workshop. This is homework to be done, but we hope it's fun. We hope that there's some interesting reading in there as well. So it's not just homework. We would also like to establish one more call. We understand that this time on a Wednesday was identified as a time that worked for the most people. So if that's okay, we would like to propose the next meeting for Wednesday, June 19th at 5 p.m. your time. That's 1700 hours, 17 o'clock. I think it would be difficult right now, given the Zoom audio, to develop consensus around that time. But I'm just going to put it out there now, and perhaps over the WhatsApp channel, we can arrive at what that next meeting will be. Again, apologies, we're 5 minutes over time, but I will now open it up and invite you to provide any feedback you have, questions you still have. I'm still available now if you would like to ask those questions.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Renato.
I just want to
boa noite.
I
Eu
just
tenho
want
uma
to
questão
ask you-
relativamente às propostas que temos que desenvolver. Podem ser
I have
propostas.
one question about the proposals that we have to develop. Can we use the proposals that we have ongoing in our offices, or are these new proposals?
Yes, if you already have a proposal in development, we would love to work with you on that one. And if you could send us that or let us know, that would really help us understand the current context. I think I heard Renato trying to speak before. Maybe Renato, can I ask for you to speak? And then we will go to Teresa, who I saw your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I just want to ask you to share with us the presentation that we did.
Yes, please. You said you would like to share your experience?
No, he said if you can share the presentation with them, your presentation.
Yes, thank you. We will share the presentation. Over to Teresa.
Obrigada. Estou meio ultrapassada. Eu queria fazer a pergunta que a Marina acaba de fazer.
I wanted to ask the same question that Marina asked, if we should share
Propostas que nós já elaboramos antes
the proposals that we have already written, but you have already answered that, so thank you.
Yes, thank you. It would be helpful to see those that you have written before that have been formally submitted. It is also helpful to know what is currently in development as we are trying to identify which project proposals we should support in the coming months. So both of those are helpful. And if you could send that in, that would be very appreciated.
But I don't know. I would like to clarify. Que queremos dizer novas propostas? Novas propostas quer dizer propostas que são novas em termos de...
What do you mean by new proposals? Is this because of new...
I don't know if Kama or Teresa, you want to say something? I want to understand your question well.
Bom, eu entendi que o que pretende é que a gente envie.
From what I understand, you want us to present examples of proposals that we already have. They may be current or older, even if they were successful or not. So they can have an idea of where we can improve and where we failed. I think that's what they meant. I have the same understanding, but one proposal that I have already completed, should I also share something that is in the implementation stage? You can send everything. You can send implemented proposals, successful proposals, which is ideal, something that is still ongoing. And can you please mention which is which when you share? So we know if this is already in implementation, if it was approved or not, and which were not accepted, and the ones that are still ongoing.
Okay. Obrigado. This is very exciting to hear that there are already proposals that have been written and those that are underway. I'm very much looking forward to reading these proposals. I can say that personally, I've been learning so much about Mozambique in the last few weeks and months, about Mayambo forests, about the country as a whole, and I find it fascinating and beautiful, and I am very, very excited to come to Mozambique. So thank you for sharing your experience, and thanks for filling out the survey. If anyone has not filled out the survey, please do so, and we really do value that input, and we'll read it. And that way we get to know you even before we meet you. We'll know some more about you. But for tonight, thanks for staying late. I realize it's late there in Mozambique, so we appreciate that. And we will be sending out the summary and slides from this presentation. We look forward to hearing more feedback by email or WhatsApp. We're very open to any further input you have, or you have some thoughts on what you would like to get out of the week. We would very much like to hear from you. I also have been recording this session, and so this will be available and I'll send you a link to where that can be viewed. And that way we can revisit this Zoom meeting if you missed anything. I see Olivia's hand up. Olivia?
Sim, Peter. Queria responder à preocupação sobre
Yes, Peter, I wanted to say that we all completed the survey and we submitted for all 11 participants. I don't know if you had any issues in receiving and viewing them. And can you please mention who is missing, and I'll resend the survey.
Yes, no, I confirm, like I've seen all the all the survey. We received all the survey.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there were some new people that had been added late, but thank you for everyone. 100%, you get a top grade for fast completion of that exercise. So that's really, really appreciated. Thank you so much for joining today. I think that's everything for today. But we will establish the next meeting. Again, the proposal is for June 19th at 5 p.m. But we will confirm that perhaps through Olivia and Marie, you could confirm that. And we will send out another invitation. Hopefully for next time, we will be more quick with the technical aspects of Zoom, and I will have learned how to properly use the interpretation function. So thanks for bearing with me. I really do appreciate it. But for tonight, I think we can say good night and boa noite. I will see you next time.
Obrigada.
Boa noite.
Tchau, bom descanso.
Good night.
Bom descanso.
Okay,
Boa noite,
obrigado.
obrigada.
Okay.
Boa noite. Tchau,
Boa
tchau.
noite.
Okay.
Tchau.
Ciao, ciao.
Right.